everyone, welcome back to Go Local Live. I am Ava Gaudet here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. Super excited for my next guest. He is from the BroadwayBlog.com. He's going to be giving us some cool tips and Broadway news for us to pay attention to. This is Matthew Wexler. Hey Matthew, how are you?
Ava, great. Thank you for having me. It's great to be on board.
Yes, this is a really cool thing I wanted to add to my show because we have an amazing theater community here in Rhode Island, some fantastic theaters doing some amazing work, but it's really cool for us here in Rhode Island to be just a few hours away from the biggest theater scene in the country on Broadway. So, you know, take that little road trip, get on the Peter Pan bus, and go check out some stuff. So, tell us a little bit about the Broadway blog that you are editor for.
Yeah, well, the Broadway blog is the entertainment portal for Passport Magazine, and we've been up and running probably about 5 years. It was started by Tom Miser, who is an amazing lyricist and part of a songwriting team, actually, Miser and More. And so he started it and then passed his top hat and cane to me about 4 years ago, and I've been overseeing it ever since. But we have a great team of writers and contributors who are out there in the field, not only in New York City. We have some people on the West Coast also covering Broadway, off-Broadway. We do a lot of interviews of celebrities and people who are working in the entertainment industry. So it's a really exciting opportunity to kind of take an insider look at what's happening on Broadway and beyond.
Perfect. I love it. Like a go-to spot for everything cool about Broadway.
Yes. What more could you ask for?
What more could you ask for?
Especially when you want to procrastinate in the middle of the afternoon and you're
Exactly.
done working and you just want to start Googling around. It's a fun place to see some good content.
I love it, the BroadwayBlog.com. Okay, so cool. Like, give us a little bit of Broadway news. Anything cool happening at the moment with new casting, things of that nature?
There's always, of course, exciting stuff happening in New York. It's fun because I actually live very close to the theater district, and so when I'm walking to the subway, one of my favorite things about being in New York is to see a new marquee go up for a new show that's coming. So there's constant evolution. You know, a lot of Broadway shows tend to open in the fall through April. That's sort of Tony season. The Tony cutoff for eligibility is in April. So then when we get into the summertime and kind of where we're at now, we have a bulk of shows that maybe have been running for a while and are seeing new refreshed talent come in. And we're kind of getting ready for the new season to start. So there's lots of buzz going on. A couple of things in particular that are happening that I'm excited about is Waitress, which has been running, I think maybe for a year and a half. It started with Jessie Mueller, who was nominated for a Tony Award. Waitress, of course, directed by Sarah Bareilles and based on the film. Story of this woman, Jenna, in a small town and her trying to get out of her loveless marriage. In any case, Betsy Wolfe has now stepped into that role. It's fun. The cast has started this tradition of passing pie, so they've kind of made turning the role over to the next actress who's going to take that on. And Betsy is amazing. She was in Falsettos this past season on Broadway. She did The Mystery of Edmund Drood. She did a revival of the last 5 years off Broadway. So she's super talented and super sweet. So I'm looking forward to actually getting back and seeing her in the role. We also have Telly Leong, who's just put into the company of Aladdin on Broadway at the New Amsterdam Theater, Disney's mega musical. Yes. And Telly's been around for a long time as well.
I love Telly, by the way. He is part of the Rent family, which is the show that I did on Broadway, and I love him. He's so talented, such a sweet person, and like you said, he has done so much. So it's exciting to see him in this new show.
Yeah, I would agree. Disney in particular is really committed to diversity in terms of casting. Telly's Chinese American.
Yeah.
I was interviewing Norm Lewis last year. Norm is now doing Sweeney Todd off Broadway, but Norm has had an amazing career. He was in Phantom of the Opera, Les Mis, and when I chatted with Norm, he talked specifically, we were talking about him auditioning for Little Mermaid, and how amazing it was for him to go into the audition process and see every type, every ethnicity And so I think it's great that Disney is continuing to hold the bar high. And of course, Ellie is incredibly talented, and they'll be giving a great performance. We also have Donna Murphy, who is stepping into Bette Midler's shoes once a week, or maybe occasionally more, depending on how it's feeling. Hello Dolly, of course, is one of the most difficult tickets to get in New York right now, astronomical. But you can come and see Hello Dolly and see Donna Murphy in it, who in and of herself is a Tony Award winner. She's won a Tony Award twice for, what did she win for? Passion and The King and I. The last revival of The King and I, before the one they just did at Lincoln Center. So she's incredibly talented. I saw Bette Midler. She was great. Donna Murphy, I'm sure, is fantastic as well. It's a beautiful production. There are immensely talented actors and actresses in it. Gavin Creel won a Tony Award for his performance. Jennifer Simard has a hilarious cameo. So if you want to see Hello Dolly, go when Donna Murphy's in it. And she's on Tuesday night, so...
I was just going to ask. So she's hired to be the cover, but she does have a scheduled performance per week. Is that right?
I believe she's doing Tuesday nights, and then I'm not sure if that has vacation or time off scheduled throughout the remainder of the year. I think she took time off earlier this summer. So keep an eye on the website or call the box office and find out. So it's a great way to see a terrific show and actually be able to get a ticket.
Yeah. You always, it's always best if you can get the ticket for the show.
Detail getting.
Yeah. So what do we have coming up, this summer, kind of any new shows opening that are noteworthy?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that are on the boards right now. And of course, as I mentioned, there's going to be more opening as the fall progresses. Right. The two things to keep your eye on if you're planning on coming into the city in late summer or early September after Labor Day. And they're on opposite ends of the spectrum. So we have Michael Moore, who is doing his one-man show called Terms of My Surrender. So Michael Moore, is the man behind Roger and Me, the documentary about the GM factory closings in Flint, Michigan. And he's been a political and social force to be reckoned with for a really long time. And I think has been looking for a platform to talk about issues that are important to him. So if you kind of want to get revved up and hear what he has to say, I believe he is in previews now, and I think it's opening sometime later in August and runs through October 22nd. But it's not a complete free-for-all. He has Michael Mayer behind him as the director. Michael Mayer has a long history of great productions on Broadway. He directed Neil Patrick Harris in Hedwig and the Angry Inch. He did Spring Awakening. So there's going to be a little bit of structure there and not just some crazy ranting on a Broadway stage.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there any word to what the structure will be like? I know a lot of one-man shows, there's some kind of characters. Sometimes they bring out a character, or is there any word as to how he's going to be setting up the structure to his...
Good question. It's a little bit hush-hush, so we're not exactly sure. I think it's a little bit of a wild card that's starting to spin, but I think that's really what makes it exciting. And he's certainly not short on opinions, so we know whatever we're going to get from Michael Moore is going to pack a punch.
Absolutely.
Looking for something that's the total opposite end, sort of a real kind of embracing musical theater and Broadway history legends. We have Prince of Broadway, which is opening at Manhattan Theater Club. So Prince of Broadway is actually being directed by Hal Prince. Hal Prince is a director-producer that goes back 40-plus years.
Amazing roster of work.
Oh, huge roster.
Huge.
Yeah, and if you don't know his name, you certainly know the litany of shows that he's been a part of, either directing or producing, which includes Evita, Sweeney Todd, Phantom of the Opera, West Side Story. I mean, it just goes on. And there's a really fantastic ensemble that he's brought together as well. I'm not sure in terms of, they're supposed to be fully staged productions that sort of reflect the originals. He has Karen Ziemba in the cast, Tony Yazbek, who was in show last season, Brandon Uranowitz, who was just in Falsettos on Broadway, Chuck Cooper, who's won a Tony Award. So there are some heavy hitters that are part of that production. And that theater in particular is not a massive house. So I feel like you're really going to feel like you're kind of in on the action, which is terrific.
Sure, like a more intimate sort of
Yeah.
environment for this. So we have so much to talk about, but if we had to pick one sort of non on Broadway but Broadway related event that, let's say we're going to spend the weekend in the city, what's a cool sort of event going on that we should try to catch?
Feinstein's 54 Below has announced their programming for the late summer and early fall, and Feinstein's, that venue is right next to what used to be 54 Below, the nightclub. So it's this underground, beautiful cabaret space. Michael Feinstein is like the icon of the American songbook, and he's going to be in New York from August 8th through September 3rd, doing a show called Showstoppers, which is sort of paying tribute to sort of not only those big, broad numbers, the kind of the 11 o'clock numbers that stop the show, but also filled with stories and anecdotes about performers and how they have kind of made their name on Broadway. It has a lot of special guests that are coming in, and in particular, Betty Buckley is joining him from August 28th through September 3rd, which just blows my mind.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Huge voice, but also does a lot of great jazz arrangements. So seeing them together in that space is a ticket not to be missed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's a gorgeous venue too. So any show that you see there, it's just the ambiance, the whole vibe is just beautiful.
Yeah, it's really elegant. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. So quickly, let's talk about this. These Broadway-inspired itineraries that they're sort of like an all-encompassing trip that you can take that involve a Broadway show ticket and some other cool events that go along with it. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, we started a partnership with showtickets.com, which you can check out if you're looking to purchase tickets and other activities throughout New York City when you come to visit. So we were trying to come up with a way to create some creative content for our readers. And we came up with this idea to do these show-inspired itineraries. Not that you necessarily need to do every single thing on them, but it kind of gives you a framework for when you're coming into the city to see a show, especially maybe if you're planning it as a surprise or a birthday gift to your wife or girlfriend or bringing in your kids. So we've done a couple itineraries so far, and there's hopefully more to come. One of them that we did is for Waitress, the show that we just talked about, which has some highlights. The Little Pie Company, which is a great little shop in the theater district, because Jenna, the character, is known for her great pies, so you can have a piece of pie or a whole pie before or after the show. There's also a food tour through Williamsburg that's on that itinerary. And Waitress in particular is a show that has a great backbone of female artists behind it. It has Sarah Bareilles, of course, who wrote the music and lyrics. Diane Paulus is its director. She won a Tony Award for Pippin. So these great, strong women and great female characters in the show. So we also highlight a few exhibits that are happening at MoMA right now that are highlighting contemporary female artists. So I think it's cool. I mean, it's something that I would want to do.
I think that's really cool. And you can get more information on these on the Broadway blog, or should we go to showscore.com? I'm sorry, the other...
Either. We have a little teaser on the Broadway blog, and if you just put into our search field Waitress itinerary or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory itinerary, you can find it there.
Oh, that's a fun one.
Yeah, if you go to showtickets.com, you'll find it there as well. So
great. Well, Matthew, thank you so much. We'll have you back in a few weeks. We'll talk about some more new shows opening in the fall, and you know, there's always a ton going on in the city. So I'm sure we'll never have a shortage of cool events to talk about. Again, you can find more information on thebroadwayblog.com. And thank you so much, Matthew. We'll be talking to you